Have you ever wondered about what we all are made of? You know that a building is made up of bricks. Bricks are the basic unit or structural unit of a building. What is the basic unit of living beings? In this chapter, you will study about the building block or fundamental unit of life. You have already learned that things around us can be grouped as living and non-living. Stone, building, pen, paper, table all are non-living, while plants and animals, including human beings, are living. What makes a living thing different from a non-living thing? You know that living things carry out certain basic functions that non-living things don't. What are those basic functions? Can you list them? Yes, you all know that these functions include growth, respiration, movement or locomotion, reproduction, etc. Living beings carry out functions like growth, respiration, movement, reproduction, etc. How does a living being perform these basic functions? What helps them to do these functions? To know about that, let's see the basic building unit of living beings. As already mentioned, bricks are assembled to make a building, or we can say that bricks are the structural unit of a building. Then, what is the structural unit of a living being? Yes, it is cell. Cells are assembled to make the body of every organism. That is, all living beings are made up of units called cells. Cells are not only the structural units but are the functional unit also. Let's define a cell. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living beings. What does it mean? Cell is the structural unit. It means that all living beings are made up of cells. Cell is the functional unit of all living beings, which means all the basic functions or activities that occur in a living being are the outcome of cellular activity. That is, the activities that happen or occur in a cell. All activities that happen in an organism are due to the activities which are happening in a cell. Cells are the basic structural and functional unit of all living beings. Discovery of cell. Only after the invention of magnifying instruments, people came to know about the basic unit of life. Robert Hooke, an English scientist, was interested in learning more about the microscopic world. He improved the design of compound microscope in 1665. Hooke observed things under his microscope. When he placed a piece of cork under the microscope, he observed many compartments or partition boxes in the cork slice. Cork is a part of the bark of a tree. Hooke observed empty compartments. When he looked the cork slice through his microscope. Hooke detailed his observations the observations of tiny world in his book Micrographia. The compartments or boxes which Hooke observed appeared like a honeycomb. These compartments reminded him of the cells or rooms in a monastery, and he called these compartments cells. Cellas is the Latin word for a little room. The compartments or cells that Hooke observed were empty. He didn't see anything inside the cell. This was because the cells that Hooke observed were dead. Cork cells were dead. Cork was a dead tissue. In that way, in 1665, Robert Hooke discovered cell. Later, Dutch businessman and scientist Antony van Leeuwenhoek made his own microscope which could magnify objects by around 200 to 300 times its original size. Leeuwenhoek is best known for his pioneering work in microscopy. Leeuwenhoek observed pond water using his microscope and saw minute organisms like bacteria and protozoa. He called these tiny creatures animalcules. Leeuwenhoek was the first to observe and experiment with microbes. Owing to his contributions to science, to the microscopic world of science, he is universally acknowledged as the father of microbiology. After that, for many years, very little was known about cell. With the discovery of advanced magnifying instruments like electron microscope in 1940, it was possible to observe and understand the complex structure of the cell and its various organelles. Now we know about the ultrastructure of this structural and functional unit of life. Later, in 19th century, biologists observed animal and plant tissues. German scientist Theodor Schwann studied cells of animals, and Matthias Schleiden studied about cells of plants. They identified the key differences between animal cells and plant cells and stated that cells were the fundamental units of both plants and animals. Schwann said that cells are the fundamental units of animals, while Schleiden said that cells are the fundamental units of all plants. Their ideas together constitute the cell theory. But Schwann and Schleiden misunderstood how cells grow. They couldn't come to a conclusion regarding the formation of new cells. It was Rudolf Virchow in 1855 who put forward a clear idea regarding the formation of new cells. He stated that all cells are generated from pre-existing cells by cell division. And his statement also added to the cell theory. The postulates of cell theory include all living cells, including plants and animals, are made of cells. Cells are the structural and functional unit of all living beings. New cells arise from old cells by cell division. Now answer these questions.